Okay, guys, we are live again. So I decided to go live again today. You know, inshallah, I'm gonna try to be more consistent in going live. And yeah, man, I just want to dive into this topic about it because the thing is that you know, the, the thing is with monk mode. I can say that usually what they say, for every action there's a reaction, for every cause there's an effect. And so when you look at the dynamics, the social dynamics going on in Western society especially, this is what is causing, more men to opt to go into monk mode. This is what's causing more men to go into I guess you can say what they call, like, what we know known as kawa, or seclusion. So the thing is, men can do it. Men can definitely go into seclusion. And the reason why we, like myself, I have opted into going to seclusion is because of the social fabric of what is going on outside. Although you're gonna be outside, if you have, like, if you're living just a regular life or whatever the case may be, you're going to have to go outside for certain things, and you're going to see certain things go on. And so you see these things and you just act accordingly to those things. So this is the reason why that you're going to be doing monk mode, basically. Um so the thing is that when you look at the situation that we're in right now, in the West, you look at it in the sense that, uh you look at the situation, you look at that, the biggest currency for, especially modern women, the biggest currency for modern women is going to be, definitely going to be attention. After the attention comes the money. And the thing is that many people, like, women want those things more than anything else. Like the modern women of this society, the modern women of this society, they rather have attention and they rather have currency uh than anything else. And of course they rather have a bamboo stick when the time may be. But when it comes to marriage, just forget about it. It's just not feasible. It's really not feasible for you to even engage in marriage. And so that's why it's better to uh that's why it's better to go into monk mode and opt into monk mode. I'm actually reading a book right now that has some pretty powerful things um that I have taken note of. And this book is about the first guy who liberated Haiti, basically, from it being a slave colony. And I want to read a couple of things that I got from this book that increased the monk mode. So, so in this book says that it says that, some things that we should be doing, because the thing is about monk mode, it's not just about withdrawing from these evil women. That's not the only thing. Because when you're outside of monk mode, for example, you kind of get caught up in pleasing people, and you also get caught up in, like, the what we call the rat race, you know what I mean? And you get caught up in, I guess, winning the approval and everything. Because here's the thing, like, I really never have been one of those guys who try to win approval from a woman. Like, I never really tried to do that. I kind of like just decided to, I saw where the things were going. I decided upon myself, like, nah, this isn't really gonna work for me. You know what I mean? And so many people will spend more time, many people will spend more time actually trying to get the approval from someone, trying to get the validation from someone, trying to get these kind of things from these people, rather than seeking the validation from the only place that it matters, and that is from the Most High. We call him Allah. Other people may call him different things, but the thing is when you're in monk mode, part of the things that you have to do, and ironically, hoteps who speak like this, and this is what gets on my nerves. This is what really gets on my nerves, is when women, Black American women, have the audacity to call themselves Nubians, and they're not Nubians at all. They're far from Nubians. I hate that whoever came up with that Nubian queen statement, you should be ashamed of yourself. You really should be ashamed of yourself for saying that, because real Nubians were like, they were like spiritual masters and things like that. And the women of Nubia have class. They had class, and they still do have class. Like Nubian women, they have class, for real, for real, for real. So one thing I want to get into is, in this monk mode, it's a time for self-reflection, and it's also a time to like realign yourself with what's real. Because if you're like one of those people who were in the dating apps world, and you were in these kind of spaces, you really kind of didn't have that time to realign yourself, because you were so busy trying to you know find your better half, which, like, many found out, is non-existent in the West. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, nobody's really getting married here. Nobody is really actually having weddings. Nobody, honestly, it's been a while since I've even seen a woman pregnant here. It's been a cool minute since I've seen a woman pregnant here. A lot of these women are just, they're just in, you know what I mean? They're just in a tricky predicament. But as a man, you have more control. The thing is, you have more control over, like, your ability to create a family, because it only takes one drop of semen in order to create a family. You know what I mean? Or start a family. And you don't have to drop that semen into uh these women here, which is why the passport bros is going to be your ultimate solution. Now, you know the thing is we have to strive for the ability to remain silent, the ability to master one's passions, and the ability to question oneself in order to penetrate one's inner self. Develop the ability to meet and realize who you are, and therefore the courage to assume your true self. Develop the ability to speak according to one's own convictions, and not according to the cowardice that causes one to say what others want to hear. So, these things were these this is the real ma'at, that these hoteps, don't get. You know what I mean? they just believe in pseudoscience and things like that, and that's not quote unquote my eye. That's not it at all. You know, so the thing is that when you look at these things, when you look at these kind of these kind of principles, you can apply them to monk mode. You know, you apply them to monk mode. Monk mode should be for your self reflection. It should be for analyzation on, like, okay, how do you want to move? How do you want to go about being in your situation that you're in right now, considering that the West is not going to get better, it's only going to get worse. That's the thing. It's not going to get better. Many people, right? Many people will tell you, to have optimism and things like that. You know, it, many people are going to have like optimism and things, like I said, but really we have to just look at the situation from a real point of view, not from the point of view, um, not from the point of view of someone who, you know, actually has control over you the status quo. Because unfortunately we don't have that control. If I had control, for example, of what I wanted to see done in this country, in America, for example, I would ban a lot of things going on here, but I don't have that control. So since I don't have that control, we have to just act accordingly and adapt to what um to basically what we have to do, you know what I mean? So with that being said, right? Um I can clearly say, right? I can clearly say that the the cause for monk mode was done by the way that modern women are like the way that modern women have decided they want it to be, and also the panderers who will basically still put up with the way that they want to be, in hopes of getting a look in, right? um so the thing is we have to look at the situation from we have to look at this situation from basically a normal perspective, a perspective in which we know basically what should be normal. We know that the nuclear family should be normal, right? We know that two genders should be normal, right? We know that um moral uprightness should be normal. We know these things. But unfortunately, the society we're living in here is not normal. Okay? That's the thing. It's not normal. If it was normal, then there probably wouldn't be a need for there wouldn't be a need for monk mode, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have to I wouldn't even be having this conversation with people, you know. I'm gonna be honest. So you look at the passport bros, you look at all the red pill community, you look at the manosphere, you look at the SYSBM, you look at my personal one, SYSMB, you look at all of these kind of things, right? And we have to understand that these things are an effect of what was done by modern women. When modern women decided that feminism was going to be necessary, when modern women decided that X liberation was going to be necessary, when modern women decided that OF was going to be necessary, when they decided that all of these things were going to have to be necessary in order for them to survive, versus having organic relationships with males, which would create more families. This is how we got in the situation we're in right now. You know what I mean? And so, and so when it comes to like monk mode, it's the thing is about monk mode, right? It can have an effect on you, and what I mean by that, what I mean is that it can it's like basically it's it's basically psychologically it can have an effect, mentally it can have an effect, and physically it can have an effect if you decide that you want it to physically have an effect. And what I mean by that is that, you know um you decide that you want to focus your energies towards the physical aspect of it, and meaning that you come up with like an exercise regimen, meaning that you decide that you want to eat better, meaning that you decide you want to like learn how to cook so you can eat better. So these kind of things that, these kind of different things that we find ourselves in, right, is the reason why the monk mode can be effective. Okay, that's the thing. That's the reason why it could be actually an effective option for you to do in this situation, and why we have to really understand that, modern women actually caused this to happen, simps caused it to happen, and also indirectly, but I know it's not their fault that, God gave them like, and gave them the lion's share of the good looks and things like that, and also gave them um money to boot, gave them a lot of provision. So with these things being said, um this is why the situation is the way it is. And this is why you have to kind of like look at it from a situation of embrace kind of, you have to embrace solitude, right? And become your own best company, and let your interests around you also become your best company. whether your interest be books, whether your interest be let's just say maybe your interest is like, I don't know, shoot, trying to think. Maybe your interest is fixing cars or something like that, just working on cars, doing rims and things like that, just using a car and having a project car and things like that. That could be your interest, that could be your company. You have to kind of treat these things as company now, because of the simple fact that, I hate to say it, but modern women, the company of, like, I find, me personally, the company of a book is way more pleasant than the company of a modern woman. You know what I mean? And so this is why we're at the situation we're in. Even let's look at it from an Islamic perspective. When we look at it from an Islamic perspective, we look at it from an Islamic perspective, and uh, I want to say, I want to say that when we look at when we look at the first advent of the Prophet Muhammad, upon him be peace, he even went into monk mode because of the ignorance of his society about what was happening. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't like what was happening in his society, you know? So this is why he himself went on retreats and entered into monk mode. And he himself did not even engage in any of the vices that were available at that time. He could have easily engaged in the vices that were available at that time. He could have easily, honestly, he could have easily, if he chose to, he could have easily been involved with, women, could have been involved in the drinking, could have been involved in the infanticide and things like that. But what he did instead is he went into monk mode, he went into retreat, and then that was basically all that she wrote. You know what I mean? That's what happened in the case of the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam. So when it comes to this, when it comes to this, you know how they say humans are social beings? Like, that's the one thing that they use, the word that they use. They use the word that humans are social beings. They always say that. They always say that humans are um, meant to be, I guess you could say, interactive with people. In a way, it is true, yes, but there's still that one thing in you that can enable you to be by yourself. That one thing. There's that one little thing inside of you that you can actually be by yourself, right? It's very possible. It's very possible. So I want to show a couple of videos about it, about this whole thing, about like just different examples of monk mode throughout the history. But I also kind of want to show the reasons why, we were put into monk mode. You know what I mean? Why we decided to pursue this. You know what I mean? Pursue monk mode. Again, again, it's not a matter of what caused it, right? It's a matter of how we adapted to the causes of it, which are many. You know, there are many, 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 right? So, what I want to do is, I guess you can say, go over, you know, a couple of things that I found. Just give me a minute. All right, just give me a minute. Give me a second. Okay, so um the thing is about this is, essentially what monk mode is in our I want to say in our like religious space, I guess you could say. In our religious space, kawa is basically monk mode. You know, kawa is in essence monk mode for us, right? So the thing is that this article kind of like pins home the point that I wanted to get across, that um being real is actually discouraged in a society you know um that is actually promoting our like that promotes like showing our best refined and superficial selves on social media. you know, we look at the fact that, society right now emphasizes the value of tangible monetary and status based success rather than the milestones achieved through emotional maturity and self-actualization. And that is what monk mode is essentially for, is that self-actualization, to realize that you're more you're more than what modern women make you out to be. You know what I mean? A modern woman will look at you as just like a peon or something like that, but you're more than that. You know what I mean? Even the world in which they have kind of like altered makes you look at yourself like in that way, but you're more than that. You know what I mean? Um Also, the fact of like status is just something that people are attracted to, and they are attracted to, you know. But we have to really and if you believe in a higher power, I'm just saying, for those who believe in higher power, whatever your higher power may be, but you know I think that we have come to a point where um we care more about maintaining this perfect image and maintaining like being the like quote unquote alpha male and things like that, you know, rather than um rather than we don't fear like losing ourselves, you know, and then because of that we're always in denial about what issues are occurring in our lives. And like when you look at the modern woman, she's in denial. Like when you look at, for example, she, like her sleeping around doing all of these things, then you know d- she's in denial about the outcome of that. Like for example, I'll give another example. um Last night there was a clubhouse room. And on that clubhouse room, there was this woman from the Congo who, I know she was like BS, but she actually said that, a woman having no kids at 38 is awesome. She also said that there's going to be a million of options out there for her. She actually said these things that, that, oh, I'm doing me, I'm doing this, that, and the other. And when the time is going right, then there's going to be all these options available for me out there. So, she's already in self-denial. You know what I mean? So, the thing is, but luckily I've always had to deal with this because I've always been kind of like a kind of, I guess you can say, a different individual. But the thing is being in isolation, right? Some people don't like it. Some people think that it's like something they can't really do. A lot of people feel that, like, man, I can't do this. I can't be in isolation by myself. A lot of times people feel that it's too much, Um, but I really think that, there's a lot of advantage to come that comes from this, a lot of advantage that will come from actually being in isolation, right? So let me go ahead and uh continue with the article. Sorry, I'm just looking at a couple of things. Just give me a minute. I'm just looking at a couple of things. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go get something. So the thing is like even our prophet, alayhi salatu salam, he would retreat into the cave for reflection. Um, but the thing is that uh because of the situation we're in the West, right? I hate to say it, but spirituality has taken a back seat, you know. Spirituality has really taken, like, I would say in the West right now, spirituality has taken probably like 100 back seats in this country. You ask the average person, like, when's the last time you really sat down with yourself? They're not going to be able to say anything, because the difference between sitting down with yourself and wanting to sit down with yourself versus being forced to sit down with yourself is that you're actually looking for those reflections. You're actually looking for that penile gland to be open, versus you look at, for example, modern women, who of course have their box wine and their kitty cat after they had their fun, right? They're sitting down with themselves, but they're not really spiritually reflecting, you know, because one thing you'll see is that they're in denial with themselves about what the part they played in their plight. You know what I mean? That's what happens a lot of the time when you're looking at the outcome of them, right? They're in denial, and it comes back on the men, right? The difference between us and them is that, for example, I'm not just blaming it on I'm not just blaming the situation on modern women, but I'm also blaming it on the fact that there are simps, that actually, the men who actually don't have any, like, will to cut this out, like to stop them from doing these certain things, right? By starving them monetarily of this, and by not pandering. But unfortunately, they still do that. They still pander and things like that, right? And the thing is that in monk mode, although we're kind of forced to do it, we should do it in a way that like we have to have a growth mindset. And another thing that I want to say too is that we should use monk mode to kind of like improve our you know what I mean, holding frame with these evil women. You know what I mean? Um so we have to understand ourselves. We have to take accountability, which I have taken. I take accountability that um I'm going to be honest. I'm about to say something very honest right now. I take accountability in the fact that I do generalize what's going on in the West because it is happening right in front of me. And I do also generalize modern women are all pretty much under the same programming. And the very few that aren't under the same programming, right, are already spoken for. You know what I mean? They've already been spoken for. I take accountability in that fact that I myself do generalize. I generalize based on what I see. I just generalize based on what's happening out here. You know, so I'm not gonna lie, I generalize. And perhaps, you know, I'm gonna be honest because I am in monk mode, you know. I guess you can say I'm in monk stacking mode because I am in this place. There is a chance that maybe I am missing the diamond in the rough, or the one who defies all of the modern women, right? Maybe I am. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm not. I perhaps am, maybe. But I rather go to a place where I can have a abundance of those type of women, right? Where it will be easier. I won't have to like search as much for that, right? Versus staying here and having to weed out so many that, you know what I mean, it just wouldn't be worth it. It just wouldn't be worth it at the end of the day, right? So another thing too is we have to be being a passport bro, right? Is also something that has to do with flexibility. It means that you're going to be flexible because you're moving around. Like you're going to different places. You're seeing like you're seeing different things. So with that being said, um with that being said, this has to be something we take into consideration. Now, let me go into some other things real quick. Give me a second. Um, let me see. Okay, so I mean, the writing's on the wall. You know, there's unhealthy relationship dynamics. We know that there's unhealthy marriages. We know that there's addictions and there's all types of things that are going on. Um, Unfortunately, when it comes to the overall thing, like I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say this about Western society. The unfortunate thing about Western society is that Western society and those who, I guess you can say, have control over it, you know, they don't see a problem in the things that are going on right now. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing that we're dealing with, you know. So they think everything is all good, you know. They think that what is going on right now is completely normal, you know. And I'm going to be honest with you. We have a story in the Islamic perspective about a prophet. His name was Yunus, alayhi salam. You know, even he gave up on his people, you know. Um, and unfortunately, you know, he ended up in the belly of a whale. And it had so much time, it had like a lot of it gave him a lot of time to reflect and things of that nature. But when we look at, for example, like modern women, they're not even self-aware of the things that they are doing. You know, that's why they never have any accountability, because they're simply not aware of the things that they do, you know, because they're, again, it comes from that pact mentality. You know, for example, if Nicki Minaj says it, then do it. If Cardi B says it, do it. If Sierra says it, do it. If, unfortunately, Brittany Renner says it, do it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just how it works, unfortunately. You know, it's an unfortunate thing, but this is just what we're dealing with. You know, this is just the dynamics that we're dealing with, you know. And we have to kind of just operate within those dynamics, you know. Just give me a minute. Okay, so the thing is too, right? We okay, let's look at it in this situation. Let's look at guys who are in the community, whatever your community may be, red pill, whatever, MGTOW, whatever your community may be. Um, we were put in this situation to become stronger. Let's be honest. So we have to look at the situation, the fact that um we may be losing something, which in return we're going to gain something that is going to be better for us. You know what I mean? Like when you look at a passport bro situation, he may have been like just all bad in the dating market. In his situation, like the dating market was just bad for him. He didn't really have a good way about it of being in the dating market, right? So he had to, you know, maybe learn new skills, maybe learn a new language to go somewhere where he was going to be treated better. But the overall outcome was better because in that situation, which he was in, he came out with not only a new skill, but also a new language, you know. Now, when it comes to our mind, our body, and our soul, you know, we have to take care of it. And so the thing is we have to kind of like look at the situation in that way, you know. We have to look at it in a situation where that we have to care for these things. And I hate to say it, that, you know, I really hate to say this, but if we if we look at the situation like dealing with modern women and stuff like that, I hate to say it, bro, but it's not really going to be good for our mental health. Like, it's not going to really be good for us. You know, it's not going to really be good for our financial health, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. So we have to look after those things. We can't just like throw those things by the wayside, you know? So, um, I want to show you why we have to Inakawa. Give me a second. Mhm. Okay, let's go ahead.
Yeah,
No, you might be better than many sisters out there.
but
Yeah?
you don't see
So,
that.
sorry?
You're contradicting what you just argued about.
No.
You just said
Mm,
you just said you wouldn't accept the sister for
I
marriage
never said that.
if she had a
I never
passport.
said that. What I'm saying is this: the consequences are not the same.
So I do think the responsibility lays
Ramadan is not just about the food you give up. It's about the
on men
You're right.
to
In
stop
that point,
perpetuating that a woman
you
is
see, the
stained
men will
when
have-
she has sinned.
She's got 30 seconds. She's got 30
The men will
seconds.
have-
To talk, everyone will listen to you, inshallah. You only have one chance to press that. Today's topic is: does a man judge a woman by her past, and does a woman judge a man by his future? So let me ask the sisters the question. Or should we? All right, let's start off with the first one. Does a man judge a woman by her past?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me why you gave some emphasis to the shut on that?
Oh yes. Oh, because very simple. Men have some insecurities. Two types of insecurities.
Mashallah, you learn it.
I learned that from a good teacher, by the way. Yeah.
Now, I don't agree with that. You know, like, and again, this is why sometimes you have to inakawa, is because even the men who may be coming up to bat for you are really not coming up to bat for you. It's not about insecurities. Like if a woman has a past and things like that, chances are it's going to be very hard for her to like actually function in a normal setting. That's the whole issue. You know, that's really where the issue comes the issue comes from. It's the fact that she wouldn't be able to function like in a normal setting because of her past. Listen, if a woman's done OnlyFans in the past and things like that, and all of a sudden she wants to settle down and stuff like that, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work for a man who maybe has not had that kind of those kind of things. You know, like having, for example, having a man who is like just your typical guy who's working, doing what he needs to do, and then all of a sudden, you know, this woman comes in his life that, you know, she may have some kids and stuff like that. It's just not going to work, you know? It really isn't.
Sign
And
up.
also, like, men are very, very they want to know a lot of things about the female. If she's been with somebody, she's ever had a boyfriend, her earlier life, you know, how she lived her earlier life. So yeah, they do.
Yes, I'm so sorry to stop you. Just to give a disclaimer, yeah, because the thing is, we want this to help marriages, not destroy marriages. If you're watching this, and I need to, because I think this is where it will answer the question of the sisters and they'll understand us men better. If you're a brother and you are married to a sister, you may have a past, please, if it's going to affect you, do not watch this. I'm telling you, because wallahi, let me tell you something. This can cause divorces. I hear stories. So I'm repeating it again. If you're watching this and it's going to trigger you, you're going to go home and make your wife's life hell, please, for the sake of Allah, turn it off. Go watch something else, please. Yeah. If you're watching it to understand better.
So the thing is and this is heavy. Okay, this is very heavy. The fact of the matter is that the fact of the matter is, right? The fact of the matter is this is what a lot of men are facing right now. You know, a lot of Muslim men is they're actually dealing with Muslim women with passes. You know what I mean? And so I think honestly, what happened is that they settled. And I don't want to even say it like that, but they settled because believe it or not, you know, like what happens is with a lot of convert Muslims, you know, godly, their past is woo, man, you know. So I think what happens is they settle for them. Um, and then because they settle for them, this situation comes, you know. That's the thing. This situation will come, you know. We have to understand that, you know. That's why he's saying not to watch it.
That's fine. But I'm warning again, if you're going to watch this, and it's going to have an impact on you, or you're going to go home and start causing havoc, please, we're not here to destroy your marriage. We're here to help. Just to give that disclaimer, inshallah. Anything that's said here is to understand both men and women. Sorry, just to carry on. I just need to give that because...
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I know many brothers that they're like, I don't want to ask about her past because I'm scared that her past might change my view or perception of her, but they can't control themselves. Men
So
generally
where
can't
does that
control
come from? Like, so women
It's just-
listening,
it's
why,
like a manly
why,
thing.
why can't you just forgive and forget? Why does it bother you so much?
Man
Like,
said
maybe sisters
forgive.
want to know.
Listen, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here to please anybody. I may forgive, but I won't forget.
Okay.
And I can't listen.
So, you know, I hate to say this, but you know, again, this is kind of why you may need Kawa as well, is because, like, you know, and this is no disrespect to him. I'm not trying to do any disrespect, right? But it's one thing to forgive, right? We're supposed to forgive. But to forget, it is kind of hard. And like the thing is that how should I put this? Women of today, right? Women of today. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest with ourselves. The women of the West today, regardless if they're Muslim or non-Muslim or whatever the case may be, they want a guy that everybody else wants. Okay? And so if nobody was really checking for you, right? Because you weren't select, then she's not going to really like even desire you like that. I hate to say it. But it's just her options, you know, her options dwindled after, you know, what she was doing in her past. That's what we need to say about the whole situation. You know what I mean? We need to say that about that situation. So I mean, this brother right here, I understand, but it's just like, wow, like if she has like a past where the body count is in double digits or even in the case single digits, you know, it usually only takes one guy to imprint them, you know what I mean? The husband fights a losing battle. You know, the husband who's actually deciding to marry her, he's going to fight a losing battle. You know what I mean? But let's continue on.
Me personally, I can't listen. If I'm talking to a girl and I ask about her past and she goes, "Oh, I had like 2-3 boyfriends," or "I've slept with this guy, that guy." Even if she's like the perfect girl for me, my whole perception and view of her would change dramatically.
But as a woman, it's like in Islam, it's not your business.
Sister, I agree with you.
And a woman who discloses her sins to you, if she did live in a sinful past, she does not need to tell you or expose her sins to you.
100%.
So whether you are none the wiser or you find out from a different source, then that is your test between you and Allah at the end of the day. Because as Allah says, those who conceal somebody else's sin, Allah will conceal yours on the day of judgment. So it applies to a woman as well who has had a past.
That is a very, very good point.
Yeah, that may be true, but at the same time, right? Here's the thing. Her past can affect the future. In terms of the marriage future. You know, what if, like, for example, hypothetically speaking, what if she decided that, you know, she was mad at you one day, right? And she all of a sudden, because women do this, she blurted out, "Oh, my ex would have never did this, or my ex did this, or my ex did that." Then it's like, oh man, now she's comparing me to someone in the past, and I thought I was the first. You know what I mean?
However, in my opinion, it's better the woman, if the guy asked the woman a question, it's better the woman to honest before marriage, so the guy can accept or reject. Because if the guy finds out during marriage, then you're gonna get divorced. You get divorced. No. But it's better you don't get married than you get married and the guy finds out during marriage and you get divorced. What's better?
But again,
you
why
get married
does
and
it
get
Yeah, that, again, yes. That's that. It's about preventive measures. That's what it comes down to. You know, it's better to have preventive measures than to go into something and then all of a sudden those things come to light, you know, one way or another, through her behavior or through something like that. You know what I mean? But I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Just had to go to the bathroom. Well, let's continue.
matter? Why does it matter?
Sister, what does that mean? What does
No,
that
why
mean?
does a woman's
It doesn't
past
matter.
matter
Okay,
if
I'll
she has gone to
Again, you know, we have to look at the fact that the past is going to come up in marriage. You know what I mean? If she has a past of like the, you know what I mean, like just like if she has the past of being on the Rooster carousel, then it's going to matter. You know what I mean? It's going to matter. All right, let's continue.
Al-Ghafar al-Rahim, the most merciful, and has asked for forgiveness from the most forgiving.
Okay.
And you, who are just
You know
a
what,
man,
Good point.
cannot
Yeah.
forgive that.
Let finish.
You
Yep.
know?
Did you understand that?
Yeah. Shall I answer?
Let's go to Gabriel and then
I'll say something. Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I get two questions, and subhanAllah, today I got yesterday, and today I got a question from brother and sister, and I get it often. I'm trying to think. They've been asking, okay, make a video about this, and the brothers are asking, how do I know if my wife is a virgin, or how would I know if my wife on the marriage night, how can I tell if she's a virgin? And the sisters will ask, how can I hide it? Because I have committed a sin. I have committed zina.
And look at their smiles. Like, that's the thing. Like, the thing is, when you look at even her smile, right? When you look at her smile and things like that, and when you look at these women here, right? Like, you would think that there would be some kind of like shame, or be some kind of like, dang, that this is a real thing. But no, she's smiling about it. You know, she's smiling about it as if it's like a joke or something, as if it's not real life. But this is like real life, man. For real. And the fact that she's smiling about it is kind of like, is kind of beyond me right now. Like, is that something really to smile at?
Sorry.
Carry on.
So these are like yesterday and today I received these two, and I've been receiving it, but just so
It's
close
very
to-
common. It's very common.
yes.
Very common.
So the sister was asking, like, okay, literally, I believe her that she's very repentant, and all the sisters who have asked this question, and I also believe the brothers are very concerned as well, who have asked, and they're very sincere.
Yeah.
So the sisters will basically say, subhanAllah, the way one sister framed it is that, am I done? Like, do I still have hope of marrying a righteous man or not? Right? Like, will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive? And from a perspective of the Sharia, indeed.
If you have a utility meter like this on the side of your house, you can get paid to go solar.
Right? Because the sinner who makes tawbah, it's like the one who's never committed a sin. That's number one. Right? So from the Sharia perspective. But see here, we have to understand again, what is fitra and what is Sharia. Okay, fitra of the human being is different than the Sharia. Sharia was revealed upon the fitra to fine-tune it. So a human being has to hold themselves. For example, sin is built in us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the two paths, right?
Yes.
This is something that Allah has built. Where did the ability to sin come from? Allah has created us in such a way, right? Where these things that we're talking about, oh, man cannot do this, women cannot do that. This is fitrah. Allah has created us in such a way.
Yeah.
Sharia was revealed with the ahkam to fine-tune our fitrah, to make us go beyond and hold ourselves. So let's say you have this mindset where, like, no, I'm not going to accept this. No, it's like, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, for example, that this person's forgiven. Can you take yourself to that level to mold your fitrah to become so strong and so submissive that you can overlook that? That's the question. And the reality is that some can, some cannot.
Exactly. And the question here is that, is a man to blame to not want that? Now, just so you sisters understand where we're coming from, and it will resonate home, and sisters, so please forgive me for doing this, but polygamy. The reason I'm saying this is because if you look at polygamy, it's something.
It's only the 6th episode.
Yeah, exactly. This is the 7th episode. So if you think about polygamy, to your fitrah, it's like, no way. This is how we feel about a woman's
and
past.
to your fitrah is like,
Yes, and then with us, a woman's past is like, but for you guys, it's like, why? Do you understand? Just to give some perspective on how we feel, like how you guys feel about polygamy, and how we feel about the past.
Oh, that's a good point.
You're comparing
Wow,
mashallah.
I think
that's
you
a
can't
very good point.
I told you I'm
You
going to
can't
shine.
compare
Polygamy is
polygamy
halal and
Yes, you can't,
to
because
somebody's past.
no, you're right.
No,
You're right.
no,
One
no,
second. You're right. One is halal, one is haram.
No,
Sister, one second. One
it's
is
not-
halal, one is haram.
No, not one is halal and one is haram.
But polygamy is
I
halal.
think
Committing zina is haram.
polygamy is haram. Halal. Polygamy is halal.
Sorry, yeah.
However,
Can we relax, please?
for example, a past is a past. It's not, you can't correlate the two. I don't think you
But
can
the
do
past,
that.
the woman's past can be that she was married 4 times. It's still halal.
No, I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
still
I never
halal.
talked about
guys
that.
are still not going to
We
accept
discussed
it.
that. Okay, no, I know, but the thing is, what we're saying is that talking about being married and talking about somebody who had zina 4 times, bro, to a man. Let's be honest, is that the same? If
not
I
the same.
if I married a woman and she was married 3 times, wallahi al-azim, my concern is not. I wouldn't have a concern of, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Yeah, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, bro, you got married? No problem. Yes, there might be other concerns of
Okay,
why she keep
a
getting
revert
divorced.
sister
Yeah.
who has had zina. Okay, because that's
Mhm.
all she knew. She wasn't married.
Mhm.
Okay, she's converted to Islam. How
Yeah.
do guys approach that?
Yeah, but
Okay,
yeah,
the Sharia, look, they're
I
very
say
clear. Let's read what the Sharia. The Sharia says, look, for example, that Allah says in the Quran that a Zani would only marry someone who's a Zania. Yeah. Now the point is this though: if they repent, we need to understand this doesn't mean the one who's committed zina is doomed to marry someone who's committed zina. This is, I'm so sorry,
no,
it's
no,
not from the
of course
Sharia.
not, of
Let's
course
make this
not.
clear. The question is though, should a man have a right to ask? But what he's saying is that this is something that bothers us men.
It bothers
We-
me.
we didn't choose to be like this.
But what I'm saying is that, and again, my opinion.
And let's
if
go to
you-
Dawood after you, please. Yeah?
If you're a man that's slept around as well yourself, I
Mhm.
think it's a bit hypocritical for you to then start questioning the girl. But if you're a guy like me, alhamdulillah, yeah, good boy, yeah,
It's not the same.
it's not the same.
People are gonna hate me for
It's
this.
not-
It's not the same.
If
Yeah.
if I'm
Not in
if
front
I'm
of the Sharia, by the way. Sorry, no disclaimer. In front of the Sharia, the capital punishment is the same.
And that's why I
You-
made the distinction,
Yes.
bro.
Let's just disclaimer. So before people, I know people are getting on a mad one. Yeah. In the Sharia, if a woman or a man commits zina, you get, if you're not married, you get flogged 100 times.
So what needs to be said, right, is that when we have like these discussions like this and what have you, this is just more reason to engage in monk mode, because the thing is from a perspective of a man, I don't think you're gonna really get across a woman, like, I'm just gonna be honest, she's really not going to get your, she's not going to see your perspective, and also she's not going to act on your perspective either. So this is just another reason why you should do the monk mode. This is why I recommend, but let's continue. Let's watch.
If you are married, you get, the capital punishment. Don't need to go into details. In the hereafter, the punishment's the same. In the sight of Allah, it's zina is zina. However, please listen to me carefully.
There are
Statistics
limitations to it.
shows, by the way, that when a woman has more than one sexual partner, her successful marriage goes from 80 to 20%. Number one. It doesn't affect a man more than it does a woman. By the way, the statistics show, and it's very interesting, it goes with the Sharia. If a man has been intimate with 4 partners, and by the way, we're not encouraging anyone. If a brother's like, yeah, I can go, please shut up. Yeah, please shut your mouth. Nobody's telling you, yeah, I can go commit zina. No. What we're saying is the psychological consequences are not the same. That's what we're saying. Just to be clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I repeat again, the Sharia, both of them, capital punishment, but the impacts that it has on a woman is not the same impact it has on a man.
And the reason why it's not the same is for the simple fact that the simple fact that we're built different. You know what I mean? We're different. We're different. God made us different. And so that's why even when you look at the advent of loneliness among people, like, we handle it different. Us as men, we handle it different. Them as women, they handle it different. But the thing is that, it, for us, it kind of just, it works out. You know what I mean? Like, if we use it, if we look at it from a sense of an advantage sense, then it works for us. But the thing is, they don't really look at it from an advantage sense. You know what I mean? The modern woman doesn't. That's why you see them go on panels talking about they handle their loneliness with bitterness. And usually the thing is that when you look at it, you know, when you look at the situation, um, they usually handle it by bashing men. You know, you look at the fact that, for example, Vivica A. Fox, you know, what does she do all the time? She just bashes men. You know, you look at that whole panel of those women, and pretty much all they do is bash men, man. You know, all they pretty much do is bash men. For real, for real, for real. You know, I'm just going to be honest. Well, let's continue.
Can I reply to this? So there's a couple like words that we're throwing around, which we obviously don't have time, but we have more episodes to discuss.
100%.
I want to understand Fitra, and I want to understand the book of Fitra and all the stuff that is within the Fitra and classified as the Fitra, because I don't know where that book exists. You know, that book that says, oh, that's the Fitra of the man and that's the Fitra of the woman. I do understand there are certain things that we can say that man are known for throughout history.
I know a book like that, by the way.
Certain things that man do. And there's also certain things what the Quran talks about, certain things that women do and how women feel. And then sociologically, how females are regarded or seen. For example, the story of Aisha Radwan Anha, where she was accused to have done a certain thing. And then the ayat of like the flogging of the man or the person who accuses a chaste woman. So like, I understand there are these certain things, but like, I feel like the Quran, what the Quran really talks to a lot, and the majority of time it encourages people to do, it's like the innate person themselves, you know, like, I don't think that the idea of like dividing man and female, for example, this idea that a man who is promiscuous is less tainted than a woman is promiscuous. I mean, you talk about fitra and you talk about sharia, but what about like spiritually? A man who slept a lot around spiritually, I don't think he's going to be any healthier than a woman has slept around.
That's not true. That's not true, bro.
No, on a spiritual level.
No, that's not true.
No, I'm saying on a
That's not true.
spiritual level, of course.
That's not true.
If you're saying that,
Sorry, I'm just being real here. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. But if you're saying the Sharia, punishes the sin the same thing, then spiritually it's the same thing as well.
No, sorry, bro. Sorry. No.
Of course.
Listen, guys.
According to you, according to him,
No.
according to him,
We're talking about
according to cultures, according to
we're talking about
spiritually.
Very simple. We're talking about fitra.
Allah has just on the same scale, meaning that
Sister, no, there's consequences. Sister, the consequences are different.
Consequences.
Thank
It's not
you.
only on sisters.
Thank you.
It's not only on sisters, it's on men as well.
No, sister. I repeat again, yeah. Allah has created us, yes? Are men polygamous by nature? Okay, you agree but disagree.
Yeah, but a man that slept with 20
You
women
always
is not
agree,
the same that a man that was
Sister,
married twice. For example, I'm talking in terms of consequences, and the same applies for sisters.
Okay, can I answer the question?
The punishment for both of them is the same.
No, but I said that. I said that
very clearly.
I said that.
The woman is not like the man.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yes.
In everything from their psychology.
He's saying like
It might not be the same in a psychological sense or a physical sense. However, on a spiritual sense, it is the same because the punishment would bear the same consequence.
The spiritual sense cannot be quantified. Okay, when you're talking about spiritual, what do you mean by that? You're talking about in a lawful way.
I can explain to you if you're asking me.
There are
a disease way. So in the West, we are living in a sense where, you know, we are hypersexualized. So in a spiritual way, we are all battling that same shaitan or that same sin and shahwa that realistically is really putting us down into that place. And it actually,
now we're not battling it in the same way because, you know, believe it or not, here's the thing. If we were battling it in the same way, I think men would be more aggressive in the sense of trying to get what they're trying to get, right? Men wouldn't withdraw into monk mode if they were trying to get the things that they, you know, they so sought after. Instead, though, however, they're doing monk mode. We're doing monk mode. But on the flip side, a woman, for the most part, she does not try to fight it. I mean, if she tried to fight it, then obviously there would be more, there would be more order. But when she was told that she can do whatever she wants and not have any consequences for those actions, she's not gonna fight it. But men is different because we know there's going to be consequences for our actions that we do. And we're going to have to pay those consequences in full,
Actually is very sad because a lot of girls who do grow up in the West and it's taboo to talk about sex, or it's taboo to discuss, or a lot of the girls are not getting the guidance that they're supposed to get, and they fall in this thing that oftentimes they are regretful for it. And then when they do end up growing up, it's like you learn your spiritual awakening. You have a spiritual awakening. You learn certain things from the deen, and you start to have that journey yourself. And then after that, you're then vilified by the men that are supposed to protect you. And in Islam, we are supposed to be protected.
There's two things I want
by
to say
our men.
because Gabriel asked me.
Okay, and then I don't know if she realized this. This is the problem here. I don't know if she realized that she double talked right now, because she acknowledged that what's going on in the West, but she didn't acknowledge the feminism going on in the West. And the thing is about that is many women don't think they need to be protected by a man, because of it. So that's why I'm just wondering, like, okay, does she realize that she just did the double take? Because, she's saying, women need to be protected, this, that, and the other. But on the flip side, you ask, like, just random, Muslim women, do they need to be protected in the West? And they're going to say no. They're going to say that, I'm strong, I'm independent, and I don't need a man. They're going to say these things.
So
this is finished. You finished.
Sorry.
Well,
Not
yeah,
finished.
go
Not
on,
finished.
just- no,
I do
go,
apologize.
it's fine.
No, because he asked the question spiritually, what does that even mean? I will tell you exactly what that means. The Prophet Muhammad SAW said that the person who sins and continues to sin, what happens to his soul? A dot appears.
Yes.
Now you are saying that the man who sins and does the sin, there's less dots appearing on the soul?
No. You're misconstruing, bro. I'm so sorry.
I'm asking you.
You're using two separate things.
Hold on. I'm asking you.
I'm trying to answer.
I'm asking you. There's another hadith where the Prophet Muhammad says that he says not the woman, he says the believer. The believer who commits zina, what happens is that his iman is lifted from him.
Yes.
Are you saying that the imam of the woman is lifted differently from the imam of the man? No, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, but
that's the point. That's the point.
I know.
That's the point I'm
But
trying
the
to
thing
make.
is, guys, 1 second. Can we just let's go back to basics. Okay, let's go back to it. Let's rewind 1 second.
Thank you.
Rewind. Okay, let me make something clear. I'm not here to say that any man should go and shun a woman and make her feel rubbish for her past. I'm not saying that. We're trying to make this a productive show. I'm not trying to be like, yeah, you go. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, can our sisters who are watching here and at home understand us men, where we're coming from? That's all we're saying. Please understand. I didn't wake up today and say, you know what, I feel like this.
Women,
if I can just clarify,
women feels
if I
as
can-
well
if I can,
the same feeling that you got. Me personally, coming from from a certain education, from a
Yes.
certain background,
Yeah.
you fight all your life to preserve yourself. You don't
Yes.
want to have to marry someone
Yeah.
that went and slept all around. We look at that as well. Of
course.
And
But
I
it's
have
not
to
as-
agree with what the brother said with the black. You were talking about psychological consequences.
Yeah.
You were talking about that.
Well, the thing is, and I disagree with her, they actually, like, women here actually want guys with experience. Like, that's the thing. Like, they want guys who have been around the block, so this is what I'm saying,
That as well.
Yes.
The black dots are all the effect of the sins on our human being.
We're missing the point here.
No, you're
Look.
right.
I
Very right. And brother Dawood had a very good point.
I know,
Yes,
but
Ali, just summarize your
But the
point
thing
in a
is, if I can
sentence.
just summarize, because I'm being cut. Let me just make this point. I repeat again, in the Sharia, the zina, the two people who commit zina is the same. The capital punishment is the same. In the hereafter, it's the same. When a person commits a sin, there's a black dot. It's the same. Please understand and
Why
hear
is
me
that black
clearly in the heart. It's the same.
But that's how men spiritually.
No,
talking
please,
about men,
guys,
what they
I haven't
like, what they
finished.
want.
I haven't finished.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is this. The consequences are not the same. We're not talking about the hereafter.
Can you define consequences?
Thank you, sister. May Allah bless you. Now, for a man, like we talked, the fact that where he was coming from, I resonate with that. Another man would resonate with that. Gabriel resonate. We don't go and go, hey, that's weird, man. Why do you think like that? Every man that's watching this, when you went to Birmingham and did that, and you asked a woman, I did a social experiment in Shepherd's Bush. I said to them,
I saw war. I saw bombing. I saw shooting.
two options. A woman who's had 20 intimate partners and is a multi-millionaire. And the other woman who is a virgin and
I agree with that.
one second, is virgin, but is broke.
It's a fact.
90% of them said broke. Now, the point I'm trying to say is the following. I'm just going to finish so we can understand, yeah? The consequences are not the same. Meaning,
because it's a fact, it's right.
Can I
I think just the
Can I-
fact consequence.
can I finish? Well, I'm so sorry. I know I talk a lot, but if I make this point, then I'm going to take a step back,
No,
yeah?
really?
Just so I'm not misconstrued.
Talk a lot?
I do.
Wallahi.
I do. My wife says that as well. Yeah. So the thing is this, yeah. Now, what I'm saying is this: because men are created polygamous, Allah had to put in our fitrah that being with 4 wives, that will not have a psychological impact on us. Because otherwise, why would Allah tell us to be? Why would Allah Subhanahu wa Taala create us in a certain way, which that if we indulge in that thing, is going to have a psychological impact on us?
Halal.
Now, number one, halal. Even if it's done a haram way, there's consequences, of course, but it's wrong. But for a woman, because you are monogamous by your nature, that Allah has created you like that and has given you haya. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, a woman's intimate desires are 99 times greater, but it's her haya that keeps it in check. Therefore, I'm summarizing, I'm finished. Therefore, when a woman has intimate partners, it has a greater psychological impact on her than it does to a man.
But-
Please bring your evidence if you disagree.
But you
No,
didn't.
I have to-
Sorry.
Can I say
let's-
anything anymore?
Can I just-
I'm done.
That's
Sorry,
like
but
you
like-
listed a lot of things and then he's working his way back.
Yes.
That's-
I didn't have a. I just wanted you to define. You said consequences, but you never defined.
Okay, so
consequence.
consequences is, for example,
I think
a,
outcomes. Use the word outcomes.
okay, sorry.
Consequences,
Okay.
Mm.
Outcomes.
No, but is outcomes
Consequence
consequence
not the same as outcome.
in the same way? When it comes to pair bonding, the studies show that if a woman has more than one intimate sexual partner, her marriage to be successful drops from 80 to 20%.
But is
They-
that due to the lady, or is that due to the man being insecure about her?
You see how they moved the goalposts back? You saw what she just did right now, right? Listen to what she just did.
Find.
Okay, so consequences is, for example,
I think
a,
outcomes. Use the word outcomes.
okay, sorry.
Consequences
Okay.
Mm.
Outcomes.
No, but is outcomes
Consequence
consequence
not the same as outcome.
in the same way? When it comes to pair bonding, the studies show that if a woman has more than one intimate sexual partner, her marriage to be successful drops from 80 to 20%.
But is
They-
that due to the lady, or is that due to the man being insecure about her?
No. It's just basically her parts.
So you see how she tried to put it back on the men. You see how she tried to again. Like, and that's the thing about monk mode. Monk mode will make you take accountability for what you do, right? Whereas with her, she tried to reflect it back on the guy and just say, oh, the guy is just insecure. Same talking points that other women have when a guy says, yeah, I don't want my wife going out partying all the time. Or yeah, I don't want my wife being in a nightclub with her quote unquote guy friends. And then what women will say is, oh, you're just insecure. That's what they'll say. Those are the things that the talking points that they'll use. Oh, you're just insecure.
Having more than one intimate partner, she is less likely to be pair bonding. Her pair bonding abilities are
These are studies on women.
studies online. Now, when it comes to a man, they realized, which was very interesting, at the 4th mark, yeah, then there's a kind of a decline, but it's not as worse as a woman. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the outcomes are different. Now, what I'd like to say, we got to make the distinction between how things should be, meaning how we should behave as Muslims.
Yeah.
Dawood made a very, very good point about the Sauda, the black dot. You know what I mean? The outcomes or the consequences of the sin, let's use that word, are the same.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
The heart will be stained by the black
Yeah.
dot till the point it becomes
both, yep.
rana. كلا بل ران على
Yep.
قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Allah said, it becomes like this heart that's covered. But the way a man reacts, so let's go back to halal and haram. If he is polygynous, for example, he's gonna the outcomes of that polygyny is gonna be different than if a woman has had multiple halal partners in
Thank you.
marriage.
That's what I want to fix from the beginning.
There's a bit of a difference, right?
There-
I know we're talking
Can you
about
repeat that? I'm so
There's a
sorry. I
big
missed that. Can you say it
Yeah,
again?
I know we're talking about sins.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just add to that. But what I was saying is within the halal, if a man is in polygyny, for example, has had multiple partners, wives, halal, the outcomes of that interaction are not detrimental. Actually, it helps a man, even sexually. Even in
There's
his
a
relationship.
spike in the. Yeah.
Okay. For
So this man is breaking down the facts, right? But, you know, of course, when it comes to the woman, she's not going to want to hear these facts. But again, it's just showing showing it again, like basically the points that are made, you know what I mean? It's just showing that no matter how many times they try to argue against like science, argue against just the clear proofs, that they're still gonna come up short. You know what I mean? The women are in these arguments, man. For real, for real. And this guy, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about too.
For the woman, if she's been married, again, halal, yeah, the pair bonding issues are going to be there. Yeah, the studies are clear. Putting that aside, when it comes to the sins, so the ulama have said very clearly, because again, there is what we should be like as Muslims. How many people are in the should department?
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Not many. And how it's like al-waqiyah, which is the reality, and how it should be the Sharia. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you find the two things within the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, pray, do this, do that. But the reality is most people are not going to do it. How do you deal with that, right?
Yeah, and that's true. You know, I'm not gonna say anything, but yes, it's crazy out here, man. That's why again, monk mode is more necessary than ever now.
So the ulama have said clearly. Sister asks, should I tell my husband? Should I disclose this? I say, no, you should not disclose your sins. Right? Did I lie? What kind? So the sister was like, what if he finds out? What if he finds out?
That's interesting.
What are
So
the
what do sisters do? Because I'll be honest with you, I would personally say to any sister, yeah, is like, I think there's a story of Umar bin Khattab, yeah, but I don't know how authentic it is, yeah, that a man came and said, should I disclose it? And he said, are you mad? Don't ever disclose it, yeah.
But it's different for a woman, isn't it?
It is, but the thing is, you shouldn't know. For a woman, he was talking about his daughter,
That's why
yeah.
her value is so much more.
Exactly.
attached
So
to her
I would
casting, because
personally
a
say,
woman messes up. There's so many more consequences. Like
yes.
pregnancy,
So I would personally say, like the scholar said this as
shaming,
well,
all
that
that.
it should be hidden to a point, because at the end of the day, this is how we are created. Look, wallahi, we didn't wake up and say, you know what, let me be like this. This is how we are. So the thing is, how should it be dealt with?
I think the difference between men and women, in a sense, is men will operate from a place of ego when it comes to that information, particularly of a woman's past. It's because, my ego can't accept it. You know, I can't.
It's not about ego. It's about looking at how it's going to affect the overall marriage, okay? How it is going to affect the relationship. It has nothing to do with ego, okay? if it had to do with ego, right? Let's just say we just look at it from that perspective of ego, then half of these celebrities probably wouldn't even have half of these women wouldn't even have dudes to fall back on if it was just ego. Because I hate to use the example, you look at the Sierra Russell Wilson example, the Will and Jada example, and things like that, and you realize that, you know, these guys don't have no ego. Okay? That's the thing. But let's continue.
Allow, yeah, insecurity, pride, because again, a woman is a man's sense of pride, right? In a way, whether you like to accept it or not, aside from Islam, but as well, like growing up in the UK, like body count was a huge thing. Like, so boys have that mentality. Oh, well, yeah.
So why
like,
don't we? I have it as well.
Yeah, of course, women have it as well. Women do have it, but it's not as much as a man.
They do have it, but it's reverse. The thing is, they actually desire you more if you've been with more women. That's the whole thing, you know? It's actually reversal. It's not what they think, what they would make you think it is. It's actually reversed. That's the whole thing, you know?
Body count in a haram situation for me is very important. It's something.
What we're talking about? Sorry, what did you say? What's important?
Because she was saying like body count.
But let's say the guy is extremely practicing now. He's super practicing.
No, you don't care.
Since how long? Since how long?
Okay,
5 years.
No,
5 years.
Brother Gabriel.
Would you accept the brother?
Brother Gabriel.
Okay, guys will not accept the woman.
Brother Gabriel, let's
even if it's 5 years for her.
Okay.
Yeah, but are we talking about halal?
Okay, let me ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Let me ask a question. Yeah. Okay, so this will go to our second kind of segment. Yeah, is do you care about a man's past or his future? So, for example, if a man comes and he says, "I used to live a party life, etc., whatever it may be, had some girlfriends, but I've repented. I've totally repented. I'm a new person, and he's successful. He's God-fearing. He has taqwa. He's got akhlaq. He's got adab, whatever it may be. Yeah. Would you say no to him or would you say yes to him? So let's start from here. Sister.
Okay.
So he's changed. He's saying, you know what? Look, I've repented. I've changed my ways. Before clubbing, partying, whatever it may be. But now, I just want to focus on my future.
For me, I don't just look at the sexual aspects of things. I think if a man,
but can you answer the question within that?
Yeah.
Because that's what's
for me. Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem for me.
Exactly. See, for us, it would be a problem.
Yeah, for men, it would be a problem. But there are other
aspects
aspects of sin. It's not, sexual is not the only sin that exists.
No, for you.
Yeah, for us.
Yes.
Yeah, but for a woman, if a man was committing shirk, if a man was being shirk, doing shirk and committing lots of things like that,
100%.
I'm not forgiving that.
Okay, Sister Soul, a brother comes.
I will follow the same steps that the Tawbah journey.
Okay.
Meaning, like, what did you do to stop from your past? Did you cut? Did you keep any?
Cut. He's a new guy. Like this is a new brand new guy.
Allah is al-Ghafur, and I want to say that to the beautiful sisters and our brothers that may have had some sinful journey in the beginning. Subhanallah, that you remember that Allah Azza wa Jalla is not only Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He's al-Ghafur, and Ghafur has a very specific meaning. That means not only Allah Azza wa Jalla gets rid of the sin, but He gets rid of the effect of the sin. Subhanallah, and that's a beautiful. That's why I always say goes back to the names of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You will find, subhanallah, most of your answers. And the fact that Allah Azza wa Jalla is al-Ghafur, we are talking about consequences on pair bonding, psychological, how we can mess up with men and women, because you're only insisting on the woman, but I think that a man that had a lot of haram relationship.
Who said that the consequence of the sin? Where did you find that?
No, you were saying like he has the pair bonding is not an issue
before we do it,
with the man that had like a lot of.
Who said that? It actually removes the consequence of the sin.
No, the effect of the sin. That's why I'm studying the.
Allah removes the sin and He makes it like it's never happened.
No, it's never happened, but even the specificity, because there is 4 or 5 names of Allah Azza wa Jalla has to do with mercy.
Yeah.
But al-Ghafur, the distinction, because I was asking the teacher, what's the difference between the other?
Yeah.
And she said, like, it's not only the sin, it's the
I understand
possible
that.
effect,
Where's
the
if
addiction.
you can give us that.
No. But what we're saying is the sin, of
Really?
course,
Okay.
the sin is.
It's the Sheikh Al-Badr, Razak Al-Badr, I think.
Okay,
He's the specialist, Allahumma barik, of the
sin
names
can,
of Allah.
Look, we believe that the sins are turned into good deeds. We understand that. But if you're talking from the aspect, because it's
No, I'm
less,
talking about the message. It's important to remind the sisters and the
The
brothers.
Yeah.
consequences
People can
will
hear.
leave you, because that's the
Sorry.
whole beauty of
She needs a mic.
of repenting.
yeah, guys, please make sure she's got the mic. But just finish, because we need to ask the same question
Yeah,
to
of repenting, the consequences remains with human beings.
Right.
So
Fitra
of
is
course
affected.
the consequences will be lifted if Allah wills, but of course if a man who doesn't want to accept it, then that's his business. I would just be advising women not to go with men who don't accept the fact that you are also a human being.
It's not that what they don't accept.
They didn't. Can I just get those
They
two to
react
answer?
differently. If you notice, I think all of you have said so far that you'll be okay as long as he's made tawbah, he's followed the tawbah journey, right?
But why wouldn't you be okay
That's the
with
Can-
it?
problem.
can I
It's
just-
something
Men,
that men
guys,
cannot
guys,
Just
do.
men.
Sister, look,
men can't.
you-
So
you-
if our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
yes.
was able
Yeah.
to accept it,
And this is my point.
You can't do that. You cannot do that. You see what they do? You see what they do. This is something they always do, okay? They try to use the compare and contrast. They always do this. They say, oh, well, such and such accepted it, this, that, and the other. Okay? Circumstances were different back in that time. Okay? The circumstances were different. So for her to do that, and the thing is, and here's another thing that we have to understand too. Here's one thing that we have to understand. We have to understand the fact that we have to understand the fact that these were mostly widow. Okay? These are mostly widows, right? That he married. They weren't just lewd women. They weren't just women who were just like out and about doing those things. They were widows most of the time. But let's continue.
And
You can't compare men of today to.
No, of course,
to the
but
message of
if
God.
we
Let her finish.
strive to be like them,
That's the
if
whole
our
point.
men are meant to be striving to be like the Sahaba, why can you
You're
not
right.
then
That's what I
accept?
said. what
Great
we
question,
should
great
be like
question.
and what we are like.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
Guys,
difference.
can I get the answer from these two
Okay,
sisters?
can I just say?
One second, please. Just answer the question, please, sister. I'm so sorry. Just the question that I asked.
Sure. The answer to that would be yes, I would accept him.
Sister,
I think how would I get to that point where I find out all these things about him? Would
no.
be-
He just come to you and said, you know what, I used to have this past, etc., and I've
Right,
changed. Plus,
depends.
he's someone that you get to know for marriage, and then he says this, and would you accept it? Or would you be like, nah?
what, clubbing and
No, he just said I was clubbing, and I did the Jahil life, and I've repented now, and he's a successful guy, God-fearing, taqwa, is a good person now. So, would you judge him by his past or his future?
But I wouldn't judge him by his future. I'd just judge him by the person he is right now.
Okay, so he's a God-fearing
So yeah,
guy.
then yeah.
Okay,
Can
good.
I just, sorry,
But-
I just want to really add
yeah, sorry.
really quickly, is that I think in a way, for example, if you're going to be asking somebody questions, right, don't ask them a question if the tables were reversed, you couldn't answer yourself, or you'd feel ashamed to answer, because that's kind of being a little bit of a hypocrite. At the same time, I think it's kind of good that men have that in them, because it then teaches our sisters to be careful of our steps, to not
Exactly.
sort of loosen ourselves and not
Yes.
forget
Good
who
point.
we are
Yeah.
supposed to be
Good
as
point.
women. Because if we didn't have that,
yes.
nobody would know.
Part of
Our
it-
Exactly,
fathers wouldn't
and that's the
know,
reason
we would
why
carry on
we
doing
covered
it.
this topic.
That's
Is
part
so
of it,
that
yeah.
the reason we did this topic is so because the Western world is sending this No, you're like a man. Go out there. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
even men watching this, zina is haram. It's a major sin. There's what we're not saying for men. It's oh, go have fun, my friend. No, we're not saying that. We're just saying the consequences are so much greater for a woman. So that's why we're saying that. Do not think, because some sisters think no, and it is. Look, let me be honest with you. This was something I had a dilemma with. Bro. I was thinking, oh, this hypocrisy, man. Well, like as a man, I was thinking, it's hypocrisy. Deep inside, I was like, I'm a man, and I'm like, that bothers me. But I was like I come from a jahiliyyah, and I was like, do you have the right to? And then I realized to myself, you know what? It sounds hypocritical.
Can I cause havoc?
But
Yeah.
you can. We're looking for the havoc here. The point is, though, I realized to myself that you know what? The dynamics are really different. Wallahi,
I
it's not that we
disagree.
choose to. So therefore, understand that when it comes
The
to pair
dynamics
bonding,
may be different, but the diseases are sure
the
not.
same,
It's the
subhanAllah.
same.
And
And
you
that's
know-
the thing that I wanted
gonna
to
cause
say.
havoc.
But before we say that,
make sure it goes
let me turn this on the head.
Yeah.
Because we keep forgetting that marriage, and this is to do with, you know, Mashallah, you're saying about how we're influenced by the environment that we live in. Marriage is not an individualistic act that you do by yourself, especially for sisters. We ask sisters, would you accept that? Yeah, maybe they would, but would the father? Because it's the father who marries off their daughters. If I had someone, I knew this guy who's been around the block, and I did all my due diligence to keep my daughter and herself as well with her own emissions. She tries to keep herself pure. I would reject the guy and say, you get lost.
Thank you.
You see? And the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, Hassan ibn Ali, the son of Hassan, he was like notorious, known to be, you know, quite, what's it called? As an authentic.
He highlights a great issue, and that's why marriage is failing, and that's why relationship dynamics are failing in the West. A lot of times, you know, because of how they were raised and things like that, and a lot of times because of the single mother epidemic and things like that, they don't even know how to vet partners. You know what I mean? Like they don't even know how to, like the parent really has no say so in the whole like affair when it comes to relationships. Okay, they don't really even have a say so, and because their parents really didn't know how to, well, I can't say that their parents didn't know how to vet. It's just that they were just driven by their desires more than anything else. That the cycle just repeats itself over and over again, you know, because of the lack of parents being involved in relationship dynamics these days. You know what I mean?
Okay,
who you talking about? Like marriage wise?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was known to have so many wives, like marriage, divorce. Like,
no, but there's this one hadith.
Ali, but Ali
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there was one Sahaba, Hassan had approached him for marriage, and he had kind of refused because he was worried about his daughter. So this is a question I'm asking. If you know, if you ask you a question, right? If and I've seen a lot of people asking this question online regarding Andrew Tate. Like if someone like him or someone who's been very promiscuous, right? And you know that this guy was a wild man, would you accept him for your daughter to be married? I say it straight, I wouldn't accept someone like that. If I know that my daughter,
let me think about that. That's a good one.
But then that's because you're a man.
But you're coming from an angle of a man.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
you're looking at
No,
history from an angle of a man.
Maybe the daughter will
Yeah.
accept.
And that's
No.
why the
Or the mother.
hikmah of the
No,
wedding.
No.
That's his point. That's his point. That's his point. So he's saying
Men are
like
the protectors.
men are like that for the women, but also men are like that to the
other-
man
to
as
other
well.
men.
100%.
That's the point.
Well,
So
that's why I was trying to say.
so
the
men,
consequences
so
are similar.
so his point is very
Well, they
very
are,
smart,
they are.
mashallah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
what we know.
yeah. So his point is men are just like that for women. Men are like that for other men as well. So when it
But it's
comes
funny
to
how it's
females,
different for the daughters, but for some,
Yeah.
she's someone, your
Someone
wife
else's
is someone else's
daughter.
daughter. So the hypocrisy is definitely.
But you see, there might be that the father, the wali, is going to reject it.
Yeah.
Yet the sister
Yes,
is going to accept
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's true.
It's a
That's right.
reality.
That's true.
And,
That's true.
and it's amazing
The
because
man is the same for the
it
woman.
goes back again to like, as the sister said, right? Where we should be, and not most.
I
men
was going to
cannot
make
be
a point
there.
about that.
And when we are, the reality is that we're dealing with these situations today. these problems are there today. Most men are not going to accept. How do you fix that?
But Brother Jibril, you asked the absolutely right question, and I was going to go.
Well, Jabril, you know, the thing is about Jabril, what he doesn't realize is that a man really is not going to accept it, regardless. And I hate to say it, but a man doesn't have to accept it, because the thing is, we have hadith. We have Sahih hadith. Okay, I'll pull up those hadiths. And of course, people are going to get mad at these hadiths, but I will pull up the hadiths that tell otherwise. Okay, it said the hadith didn't mention the man. That's the thing. The hadith is not going to mention the man. The hadith is only talking about the woman. Okay, if it was a big deal, I think the man would be mentioned in the hadith. But let me pull up the hadith. Let's see. Okay, so one of the hadith is, it says that the Prophet, upon him be peace, said, marry the kind, okay? Marry the kind and fertile women who will give birth to many children, for I shall take pride in the great numbers of my ummah. That was one of them. Okay. Okay, let me see. See what else he said. Just give me a minute. Pull it up real quick. Just give me a minute. I'm finding it. There's another hadith. Now, this is a heavy one. Okay. And a lot of people aren't going to like this. But I'm going to read the hadith. And this is not going to be very, like, a lot of people aren't going to like this hadith, but I'm going to read it anyway. And this is found in Sunnah ibn Majah. And it says, Hadathana Ibrahim ibn Mudir, Hizami, Hadathana Muhammad ibn Talha, Tamim Niyu, Hadathana Abdul Rahman ibn Salim, ibn Atabah, ibn Uwayn, ibn Saida, Ansariyu, an Abi an Jadihi, Kala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, alaykum bi abkari fa innahun adabu afwahan athaftaku arjama wa arda bi yasir. So it was said that the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu salam, said, and he's only talking about the women. He's not even talking about the men, because of the simple fact that he knows a man's nature. You know what I mean? He said, you should marry virgins, For their mouths are sweeter, their wombs are more prolific, and they are satisfied with less. He said that for a reason. He said this for a reason. Okay? So let's continue.
Go back to that point you said, like, this is the fact, this is what we should be, and this is the fact. Like, but in every matters in our life, we go back to what? To the sunnah.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, Allahumma barik, the most secure and the most healthier example was the Prophet ﷺ. Why no one talks about that? Brother, the sunnah is this. Allah is the same account. But no, we want to bring out the polygamy sunnah.
But they're talking.
So that was his sunnah. The fact that he mentioned virgins, that is his sunnah. That is his sunnah. So what are you talking about? That's his sunnah. So I don't know what I don't know if she did, if she read this hadith or not. I don't know if she did or not.
Talk about the polygamy sunnah, won't they? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Talk about the polygamy sunnah.
And it's funny how they
Is
question.
it sinful if he goes for a virgin only?
No, it's not sinful. It's not.
No,
it's
you
a
can't say that.
preference, But
So most guys
I
gotta
will
take that.
encourage, but we should always go back to
Yes.
Allah Azza wa Jal. One second.
Tell us, sister.
And it's funny how many brothers will question the sister, and they are the biggest, like, they have, like, and I'm saying very close past, like,
There's
they may be in
what's
some
called
relationships
an
still.
SES, it's a sexual double standard.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, Allah
men
Azza
are
wa
always
Jal
gonna
doesn't
have
like hypocrisy. We have
It's not
to say,
hypocrisy. No.
no,
It's not hypocrisy.
it's a form of hypocrisy when
It's not.
in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal is the same sin.
It's a contradiction. It's what's called in Arabic tanaqud. Okay, it
fine.
cannot be, because hypocrisy, nifaq, is something totally different. And it's a sexual double standard. It's a double standard a man will have.
Double standard is the word.
100%.
than-
I'll tell you one thing. It's 100%, and it's because it's somehow it's linked to our biology.
To
I don't
ignorance as
think
well.
so.
To ignorance as well.
I genuinely
Yeah,
don't
we're
think
created
so.
like that. Wallahi, we're created
I
like that.
don't think so.
Sister, don't you think we're created like that?
I think it's sorry.
The Prophet
You
ﷺ,
can see how in
he
the
allowed-
white community, I'm sorry, in the white communities, how is it more
Sister, press the buzzer.
accepted?
Have your time.
Why?
Press the
It's
buzzer.
cultural as well.
Okay, we need to, please. You've got 1.5 minutes. Sister, express yourself.
I will say I don't think it is in your biology. I do think it's an ideology that's been perpetuated within the male community. So, women, if you've had a past, no. Because there is history of pre-Islamic and even in Islamic history where women have been previously with other men, and then they've now been able to marry successfully. And in fact, it even shows that women are very good wives, and they do repent for whatever they've done, and they become a very
Even
successful
better
relationship, and even sometimes better. So I
But-
do think the responsibility lays
right.
on men
You're right.
to
In that
stop
point.
perpetuating that a woman
you
is
see, the
stained
men will
when
have-
she has sinned.
She's got 30
previously.
seconds. She's got
The
30
men will
seconds.
have a choice,
She's got 30
right?
seconds.
When you go to the
She's got 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. I have to stick by the rules.
Okay,
30 seconds.
so
Finish.
yeah, like a woman is not stained by her past. She's not got this like big sign saying, I've done lots of madness. But again, and also I do think our Muslim men are
Hypocrites.
hypocrites,
all
because
of them.
they, not all of them, but some men in our Muslim communities are hypocrites, because they will go for a reverted woman
10 seconds.
who is either from the white
Right.
background, who's done an absolute madness, and accept her. But
Okay, now those men, okay. This is why I said that, we have to be, as men, some of us have to also be held to account in terms of that, because me personally, I'm not taking no revert. I'm just gonna be honest, for the simple fact that, like even on TikTok, there was a revert that, having all these tattoos and stuff like that, trying to tell us about the religion. It's like, get the hell out of here. Like, what were you doing in your past life? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be judging or anything like that, but God knows what kind of things that she was dealing with out there. You know, and I'm not trying to generalize, but when you look at like in any of the American reverts, be it like you know, like a Anglo or a Keisha who reverted, forget about it. Okay? I don't know why those brothers go for them. Now, my theory is the whole green card thing, but me personally, forget about it. I'm not going for them. And this is why I say monk mode is necessary, because you get knowledge of self more. That's the thing. You have to ask yourself, do you think the Sahaba or like, you know, Ahlul Tasawwuf will go for these individuals?
But when it is a Muslim woman who is also a human being who's done certain things because of the Western society, and they will not accept her.
Many of the convert sisters get divorced.
You know, the thing is too about that too is that when she says because of Western society, she's now blaming the West for her actions. And it's like, bro, you're in control. You don't have to conform to the West. But the problem is that a lot of these women are dealing with is that they feel like they're missing out. And so that's why they conform. That's why they do certain practices that they know it's not really going to really benefit them in the long run, but they still do it anyway. They still do it anyway. Let's listen to what she said again.
Other men, and then they've now been able to marry successfully, and in fact it even shows that women are very good wives, and they do you know, repent for whatever they've done, and they become a very successful relationship, and even sometimes better. So I do think the responsibility lays on men to stop perpetuating that a woman is stained when she has sinned.
She's got 30 seconds. She's got 30 seconds.
Have a choice.
She's got 30 seconds.
When you go to the
She's got 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. I have to stick by the rules.
Okay,
30 seconds.
so,
Finish.
yeah, like a woman is not stained by her past. She's not got this like big sign saying, you know, I've done lots of madness. But again, and also I do think our Muslim men are hypocrites, because they, not all of them, but some men in our Muslim communities are hypocrites, because they will go for a reverted woman
10 seconds.
who is either from the white background, who's done an absolute madness, and accept her. But when it is a Muslim woman who is also a human being who's done certain things because of the Western society, and they...
And so here we go. Because of the Western society, listen, this society will never make me do anything. The only thing it's made me do is go against it, basically. And what I mean go against it, I mean everything it stands for, I'm opposite of it. For example, LGBT, opposite. Feminism, opposite. These Lou 304 women, opposite. Godlessness in the society, opposite. That's the only thing that Western society has made me do. That's it. It's be everything opposite of it. That's the only thing. CNN, opposite. MSNBC, opposite. Because I know these things are designed to pretty much make you believe something that is not even true most of the time.
They will not accept her.
Many of the convert sisters get divorced within the first 5 years. It's not true that they have this, they idealize them. They have this whole wow convert sister, but when you analyze the problems that come out of them, many of the marriages fall into divorce. But let me just add one.
Sorry.
See, the Prophet ﷺ, you're writing what you said. Again, there should.
But notice how he said that, and that's the reason why I didn't marry a convert sister, and I won't marry one who convert, because most of the time when it comes to them is the, you know, I'm not trying to generalize it. I'm not trying to generalize this thing, but the majority of times when they like convert and stuff like that, it's mostly due to the fact that they know that, you know, it's just it's not done on no conviction. It's not really done with conviction. It's like the same thing like when a woman, when she gets done with her 304 phase, all of a sudden she's in the church now. You know, all of a sudden, like, she found Jesus, alayhi salam. And you see this in most, like, when you look at most churches aren't even having men in the churches. Most of the churches are full of single women. Like, that's just how it is.
Be a standard that matches the sunnah. But the reality is, even if, let's say, we would fix all men to think like that, that would follow the sunnah of the Prophet, right? The men are still going to have a choice within that sunnah, because the sunnah is prescriptive. It's not fard for a man to marry a virgin or a divorcee or someone. So the Prophet, when he spoke about virginity that time, he actually explained, you should have married a virgin. Because he said, what it was, was she a matron or a virgin? He says, and sorry to go into a little bit of detail here, but he says, so that you may play with her and she'll may play with you. Here it goes back to sexuality. So
this man is really laying it down. Gabriel is really laying it down. This brother Jabril is really laying down the facts. You know what I mean? Out of all of them, he's laying down the facts. So that's what I'm saying. Like, here's where the issue lies. Okay? Here's where the main issue lies. And I'm seeing it play out right before my very eyes all the time. I'm seeing it play out right before my very eyes, you know. The thing that happens, right? The thing that happens is that these women, you know, when they go on their when they go on their carousel phase, you know what I mean? They do their carousel thing, and then they're like, you know, I should stop it now. Let me just go ahead and get me a let me just go ahead and get me a like a resource, right? And that's usually going to be a guy, but it's going to be like a guy who has his stuff together. It's not going to be like the types that they usually go for. Now, the thing is about that is that, I hate to say it, but this usually is how the ball rolls. This is how the ball falls. It's usually going to be one of those marriages where the sex is going to be rationed. It's not going to be given like all the time. And that's one thing about Islam, is that you're like, you have to, if there's no health, if there's no health problems, or if there's no physical limitations holding a woman back from having sex, then it has to be available to the man. But the thing is, a lot of times the women don't make it available to the man in the marriage. But Jabril is laying it down.
And molding, as opposed to her having previous partners, previous experiences, less pair bonding. So the men in general, did the Prophet marry virgin? He married one virgin.
Aisha. He married Aisha. May Allah be pleased with her.
One, Aisha radiallahu anha, right?
Mm.
Other than that, there's no virgins.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see, but the Prophet ﷺ, again, he understands the fitra of the man. When given two choices, what are men going to choose? Look at your fitra. All of you have said, I will accept it.
Yes, but ask us, look, wallahi, if we went for all of us, yeah, and by the way, just again, let's do a disclaimer, yeah, and once again, if there is a sister that's watching this, yeah, because it's pertaining to that, I'll repeat again, wallahi, I mean, there's ayahs in the Quran as well. We are not saying that you want to commit sins. Look, you might be better than many sisters out there,
But
yeah.
you don't see
So,
that.
sorry,
You're contradicting what you just argued about. You just said you just said you wouldn't accept the sister for marriage
I never said that.
if she had a
No,
past.
I never said that.
You never said
No,
that.
just to clarify, sister. No, I understand. I don't blame. I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you. No. I don't blame you for it. It came across like 100%. 100%. You're right. Just to clarify, yeah. What I'm saying is this, yeah. Genuinely, if you ask, it's not a social construct. If you put all of us, if I was the only man on this planet, and there was no men within my fitra, I would be like, I would prefer that. That doesn't mean
women as well.
That doesn't mean, yeah, no, not for a woman. For a woman, if there was no one on this planet and you were on your own, you would still say, okay, I'll judge it by his future, not by his past. With me, I'll say no, by her past. So just to give some clarification, yeah, is that I'm saying I would prefer that. However, if I don't come across a sister who may have made a mistake in her past, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my witness, yeah. I'm personally, this person would speak, yeah. I would say if it was one mistake, genuinely, I would say, you know what? I come from, no, I'm not talking about divorce. I'm talking about haram. Yeah. I come from a jahiliyyah. Yeah. Bearing things in mind, etc. Deep down, I'll be like, I wish it didn't. But again, I would say, you know what? To me personally, if it's too personally to me, I can't. I'll be like, I can't, because I don't want to cause hassle to you and myself. So I'm just giving that disclaimer. But this doesn't mean that sister could be 100 times better than a sister who has never been with somebody. I want to make that disclaimer. We're not here saying, we're just saying, like the sister said, she believes it's a social construct that, no, it's because of an ego thing. Wallahi, sister, wallahi, Allah is my witness. And all of them will testify, yeah, is that, wallahi, it's not, sister. We're created like this. Just the way you guys are created that when your husband gets a second wife, you lose it. We're like, that's your fitrah.
But not all women lose it.
Yeah. Men are created to judge women.
No, not judge. There's a misunderstanding. I need to clarify. No, it's very important for our viewers. My dear sister, wallahi, I'm not saying... Okay, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that the way we are created, we would prefer, look, this is the reason why I give this polygamy example. You would prefer, if I asked you guys, would you prefer,
I'm joking.
Okay.
Every time you're going to say polygamy.
Okay, would you prefer that your husband has a second wife or one? You say, I prefer one. Second, it would really hurt me. I'm saying with us, we would prefer there is no past at all.
Yeah.
However, yes, preference. However, you cannot go and be like, oh, if a sister, arguments, I'm getting to know a sister for marriage, and she goes, you know what? I commit 2 times, whatever. I would never ever say you're worse than me. I would say, you know what? You are maybe 100 times better than me. And you know the woman who was an adulterer, who was caught, and they gave her the capital punishment, yeah? And the blood was splattered onto one Sahaba's feet. You know what he did? He was like this, The Prophet said, if you knew her repentance would be sufficient for the whole of Medina. Wallahi, I'm getting goosebumps. Wallahi, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm saying this. Said her repentance is maybe sufficient for the whole of Medina. Yeah.
Look at the natural responses. Right?
Yeah,
but he was
look at that.
educated.
Look at that. Yeah. So just finish. Yeah. So yes. So the point is this. Yeah. I would never look at that sister and be like, you know what? I would say you're probably 100 times better than me.
Yeah.
But personally, on my fitrah, it's just. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Can I command? Oh, sorry.
Before you can command, there was a...
It's really not against you, just so I can have a say, to be honest.
Yes,
with you.
please, sister, yeah.
Just wanted to say that we are naturally quite curious creatures. We're created like that, and we're very judgmental as well, as much as we try not to be. So when you're trying to pick a spouse, you're going to, and this is for men and women, you're going to look at his past, and you're going to look at his future and her future. Because the past would determine what kind of character they had, how they carried themselves, and the future would determine what kind of spouse and parents they make. For example, completely unrelated, if I was to say invest into cryptocurrency, I'm going to look at Bitcoin and see exactly how it's been fluctuating. I'm really not going to throw my money in there. I'm going to look at its past. I'm going to look at the investment that I've made and others have earned before I invest in that. And we invest in spouses and in their future, in our future, in our children's future. That goes on forever. That's a lifelong investment. So I think it's not necessarily wrong to ask somebody about their past, but it depends on what you are asking, and that is where the fine line is, and you've got to make sure you don't cross it.
Exactly. And I would personally say to sisters, hide it. And it's simple. If he says, I would like to just say, make an excuse. he said, you know what, I would want a wife who's a virgin and who doesn't go work. Make the work an excuse. Say, you know what, brother, you want something? I want to work. Don't go and say, oh, hide it. I would personally say hide it as much as possible because it has an impact. But anyway,
you know, and again, I hate to say this, but this is kind of like, again, driving my whole point home with like men who do this, like men who make the with men who, how should I put it, men who make a way out for these women. You know what I mean? He's saying like hide it, and it's like you may think you're getting a virgin, but then on the wedding night, you're like, what in the hell is this? You know what I mean? That's the whole issue. That's wherein the issue lies.
I just wanted to.
We've got 15 minutes left, please.
Yeah. I just wanted to commend you because.
Command me.
Yeah, like.
Comment? Or do you mean
commend,
like?
yeah,
Okay.
because I rate that because I know personally, and this is like off. You know, people don't need to know. I know you personally, so I know the decisions you've made in the past, which go against the things that you believe. That decision that you made in the past. If you were to place them with what you say today, they would be the opposite. So I commend.
Yeah, we learn.
Right?
Yes.
No, it's good because you're saying basically, look, this is how men are.
Yes.
Despite of that, I did choose to be married to someone who's been married before. Do you know what I mean? So that's.
No, I never said that.
No.
I said I would want to. Like I would have no problem if she was married before.
That's
Yes.
what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. So the fact that you're saying that, but at the same time you're saying.
No, but I've always had that position, bro.
No, but I rate that because
you need to watch the marriage documentary.
No, I rate that because it's like. You're not just, do you know what I mean? You're not just backing up a point because it's to do with you. You're backing up a point because it's a bigger picture, right? But like, I'd say, because this is the bitter truth, yeah? And like, and one thing I would love to see, because you see, so for example, if Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate or anyone, they have these podcasts, what happens is that these are like hubs of education, right? People learn from these things. So like, yes, I understand that man, and honestly, if you was to ask me, I'll be honest. Look, if there is a female and I know she had like a crazy past, it would be, even for me, it would be difficult. I'll be honest.
That's what we're saying.
It would be difficult for me to be like, yeah, because I would look at her sometimes and be like, do you mean this is these things?
Shaitan comes into
yeah, like man have like this weird ways.
You know where that's coming from. Just not to cut you up, yeah. Sisters, you know where that's coming from, yeah? Is as men, we need to understand, and I'm very, very sorry, like. Trying to put this in the best way possible. Yeah? There is a bit of truth, but I don't want to go cross the lines of modesty. Yeah, it's that for a man, the act of intimacy is being done too. So because of a man, psychologically, he's like, so just for a man, we're like, wow, like, the only reason I'm saying is just so sisters understand a man's psychology, just where we come from. That's all I want. Wallahi, that's my aim. I don't want to like,
But saying this, and this, I think this is the main difference between us and like the rest of all the communities who are struggling at the moment, is that we have Islam and that we have the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to emulate. Like, what did the Prophet say? Like when the Sahabas, when he used to tell the Sahabas, there will come a time where people would not know left from right, and people are gonna. It's like, stick to my sunnah. Like, like this platform and I love what you're doing, mashallah. You're doing it already. Like. Educate people, right? Change people's mind, because it's not that it's so hardwired that it can't change. Because you mentioned something very beautiful earlier when you said that, and I know this as well, that in the Somali community, for a divorcee woman to get married is very easy. So clearly, there's something within them that they have.
In fact,
they're people of Quran.
In a lot of African countries that are predominantly Muslim, this is not an issue.
It's not an issue.
So
okay. The thing is it depends on the circumstances in which she was divorced. Okay, it's not like an African man is not gonna just like get a woman who is like a divorcee. You know what I mean? Like, especially if she initiated the divorce, then the man's gonna be like, oh crap, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's gonna he's gonna be like, man, maybe I should fall back, or I could be next. That's the thing.
You have to
And
look
it should be like
at
that.
the
It should be like that.
subcontinents where this might be a bigger issue. You know, where it's
Can you
more taboo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
guys,
we remember
Can I-
times
just my
where
last one.
We need to wrap up.
okay.
I don't know if it's always a bad thing, like every you were saying about amongst the Asian community. There's certain things that we may see as bad, but it has preserved them for a very, very long time. But I think for people who live in the diaspora, it's for us to start to negotiate certain things, you know, and starting to realize that, okay, this might be the nature of man, but the circumstances that we're in now, there's so many females who are not married. Do we have to adjust ourselves according to these realities?
I think the bitter truth is
There's so many females that are not married because they decided to follow after the West. That's the reason why they're not married, okay? They still are Western women at the end of the day. All right, they still desire the same things. And I hate to say it, you know, I really hate to say this, but a traditional marriage is not one of them.
Tell a sister, please.
we need to speak more to our daughters and our sons
Yes.
and start at educational levels and stop being so shy to have these conversations with them.
Because temptation will
Because
come.
in schools, it's no shyness there. There is no shyness.
And
They
there's
are, they
education.
are feeding your kids
Exactly.
these topics all the time. They're going to be
Sexualizing
around
them. Yeah.
children who are doing these things. And if we're so shy, trust me, in school, they're not.
Homeschool gang. That's all I'm gonna say. That's what I'm saying, man. That's why you have to have a good woman, man, because like you have to have a woman that can educate your kids, man. For real. Cause I mean, the way it's headed is better to just give them homeschool.
Not being hid away
Maybe
from these
happened then,
things,
yeah.
and they are going to go out and do these things and regret it in the future. There are social media influencers who actually used to teach girls to be free, who are now turning away from it and saying, actually, I didn't value myself. So teach your daughters to love and value themselves.
And boundaries.
Irrespective of a man's opinion, they should love and value themselves so that they do not have to regret
And,
with
yeah.
their creator first.
Yeah, you're talking about kids, but I want to talk as well about Muslim women. You know that sometimes are tempted by men, by meeting Muslims, think they are protected by. Think that.
We're filming, please.
Okay. And I want to talk, you talked about kids, but even our sisters are uneducated with the fact that you put boundaries, protect themselves from, they think like zina is only for the non-Muslims or the non-practicing. No, zina happens in our community. My sisters, like I always like advise, protect your dignity, protect your honor at all cost. And another thing I want to say, and I joined the brother Dawood, we need to make our criteria the sunnah. We need to align them. And we're talking about it like it's undoable. No, it's like that. It's the fitrah. No, not a long time ago, we used to bury girls. And alhamdulillah, we are far, far from that. It was the culture. It was the norm. It was normal. What you will say, like it's normal. Like we think like that. But
Well,
it's the lack of
Muslims didn't
fitrah.
used
It's the
to
lack
bury
of an
girls.
Islamic.
We have
Yeah.
to be
Yeah, exactly.
specific.
No, but I'm saying those
Yeah.
Muslims changed.
No, they weren't
Alhamdulillah.
Muslims. They were the pagan.
But what I'm trying to say, it was at that time in Islam
That was
changed them.
pre-Islamic.
Islam
Islam
changed
changed
them.
them.
This is what I'm trying to say, that
Except
we
there
have
was-
hope.
There was a norm in society,
Exactly.
and Islam
Yes,
came and
yes.
changed that norm.
Exactly.
Okay,
And that norm
one-
can be changed.
One thing I
hope.
want to say, we need to wrap up. Yeah, one thing.
And can you imagine if men were judged by their past by women? No, I'm sorry, I just want to say, Wallah, he will stop them from doing zina. He will stop them from sinning. If
Say that again. Say that again.
if the woman will be judging brothers by their past, they will be more careful. Just like the sisters, like you were saying, is protecting them.
But that's why.
I know it's
that's,
idealistic.
no. That's why we're saying it goes back to the fitrah.
Yeah?
That's but women don't do it because
Maybe we
you know
should.
Dawood was talking
Maybe
about.
we should.
No, but
I
sister,
do it
no,
personally.
But this becomes a social construct because you're like, let's do it now. You're coming together with your sisters
No,
and saying,
I'm not saying that.
One
I'm
second,
saying,
one
generally speaking, if we
But
educate
one second.
you should.
no.
we
What?
should.
No, 1 second, sisters, please understand something. What you're doing is a social construct. Let's come together and put pressure.
it's
No
back to
problem.
the sunnah.
No problem. The point I'm trying to say is the following: we are built. It's hardwired. You guys are saying let's reprogram. That's the difference, which shows shows what.
No, she's
Which shows-
saying we should sorry.
Yes.
We should
Assess someone.
reinforce
Yes.
the importance
Shame.
of chastity
Yeah.
Okay.
In men.
to our boys
Yes.
as
In men.
much as it is for our
And
girls.
yes,
Can you imagine
100%.
if it was a
Yes,
criteria,
yes, yes.
mashallah.
No, but we have to do
Brothers,
that.
we stop
No,
doing
but what that means
I
is that
mean,
what that means is as brothers, wallahi, let me be honest. When I first came to Islam, I had a show called The Reality Show, yeah? I used to grill brothers on this topic day in, day out, yeah? Literally, wallahi, how men think. Do you remember those, yeah?
Yeah.
Exposing, wallahi, day in, day out. You know why? Because we say it to our brothers. We're not here like get easy, right? And let me tell you one thing. You know, we talked about how there's a greater consequences for a woman. But this is something we don't talk about. It's interesting, yeah? To the brothers that are watching this, yeah? You see when you go and I'm not saying the sisters are innocent, yeah? Please listen to this carefully. Brother, when you go and try to fool that sister or whatever to committing zina, just imagine this for a second, yeah?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Today I'm speaking to you on behalf of Amoud Foundation, an organization that I've been working with for the past few years, mashallah, and they're working tirelessly in the Horn of Africa for the past 20 years. I love what they do there because it's very...
Okay, you need to understand that if you're doing that to somebody else's sister and somebody else's daughter, there are many men like you who are doing it to your future wife. Now, future sister, listen. Because when we talk about its consequences, I want you to understand something. If every man, listen to this, if every man goes and tricks a woman or whatever it may be, yeah, into this, guess what? Guess what happens? There's consequences. Yeah. That's the reason why. That's the reason why when you go and you cry, you're not a virgin. Yeah, brother. Remember that girl? Yeah. That is what is happening because there are ripple effects, and this is what happens to people. Oh, my sister, bro, Allah works in ways. That's the way. Yes, there might be pair bonding issues with the sisters. It's a reality. But brother, when you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, bro, remember those girls that you was with? You thought it's all happy days for you. Yeah. Okay. How about this now? So there are consequences, and Allah is the most just. Let's end on that note, inshallah. My dear sisters, please forgive us if we said anything crossing the line. We just genuinely doing this, like you said, we have to talk about these topics because so we can educate people. Yeah. And inshallah, we can be a role model that Orthodox Muslims can come together with adab, akhlaq, talk about issues that help the people who are watching, inshallah. And that is the aim of the show.
So, again, this just goes to show you how bad it is. This just goes to show you how bad things really are right now. Now, the one who really kind of like talked with some balance and talked with his proofs was the brother Jabril. He talked with the proof. He came with the facts. And a lot of times those women didn't want to take those facts. That's the thing. That's the thing. So this is why we're in the situation we're in right now. And then also I want to say that this is the reason why monk mode is necessary. You know what I mean? Because these are the type of women you're actually dealing with. These are the type of women you're dealing with, man. This is what you're dealing with. So just you know what I mean? Use this time to build yourself up so you can make your exit strategy, as I will keep on saying. Nothing is really gonna and I'm going to end on this note. I've been here for about 2.5 hours now. And I'm going to end on this note. Nothing is going to change my opinion about what is the solution in this situation that we're in. Absolutely nothing is going to change my opinion. Getting out is the solution. Because, again, I said it's not going to become better here. But with that being said, whoever catches the replay, now with that being said, all I got to say is just focus on yourself. You see what's going on. Act accordingly to what's going on and understand that what's going on in the West is not going to be in your favor if you just sit here, stay here, and accept it, you know. And you see it play out before our very eyes right now. So with that being said, move accordingly. You know what you need to do. That's the thing. You know what you need to do. So just act upon what it is you need to do to get out of the West. You know, I'm not going to change. My thing my thing will always be pro Hijra, pro getting out of the West. That's the thing. Cause it like again, if this is the dynamics you're dealing with right now, what other choice do you really have? Okay. I'm just being honest. But with that being said, I'm going to end this live. Fuller signing out. Njarama. SYSMB. Save yourself, Muslim brother.